Identification of new electoral commissioners gets underway as the president assents to the IEBC bill. Opposition leaders and Kenyans online reject calls for dialogue on Gen Z's demands. High Court suspends presidential task force on the forensic audit of public debt. One person dies and 46 are injured as train derails at the bridge in Kajiado. Brian Moraro is our sign language interpreter tonight. Let us know what your thoughts are on the stories that we have covered for you tonight on all our social media platforms at KBC Channel 1. Now, the process of identifying new commissioners to serve in the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission has now kicked off with the signing of the IEBC bill by President William Ruto. In the first, which saw the opposition witness the signing of the bill at the Kenyatta International Convention Center right outside of State House, the president called for the bipartisan approach by the political class to collectively pull together for the interest of the country. Abdiaziz Hashim opens our coverage.
Your Excellency, this bill gives a roadmap to the formation of the IBC. It commences with the IBC selection panel, which will now comprise of 9 persons.
The newly enacted laws on electoral reforms by President William Ruto has set the ball rolling towards the new electoral body ahead of the 2027 general elections.
The signing of this bill paves way for the establishment of the selection panel for the appointment of IEBC commissioners. The IEBC remains a cornerstone of our democracy, responsible for overseeing regular elections at various levels.
The new bill amends the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission IEBC Act, overhauling the IEBC Commissioner's selection process, radically altering the Commission's administration and empowering the next IEBC chairperson.
This bill, Your Excellency, is the first bill to anchor the resolutions of the Houses of Parliament with respect to the NADCO report.
The Act has increased the number of the members of the selection panel from 7 to 9 members, as it was recommended by the National Dialogue Committee that comprised of both the ruling coalition and the opposition. The panel will consist of 2 persons nominated by the Parliamentary Service Commission, representing the majority and minority parties or coalitions of parties. The panel will also consist of 3 persons nominated by the Political Parties Liaison Committee. The Law Society of Kenya and the Institute of Certified Public Accounts of Kenya has 1 slot each, and 2 persons will be nominated by the Interreligious Council of Kenya. The slot assigned to the Public Service Commission was removed in the new law. Further, the bodies named have 14 days to submit the names of their preferred members, while the President has 7 days to appoint the panel upon receiving the names.
The bodies which are nominating more than 2 persons, Your Excellency, are required to also observe the 2/3 gender rule.
The new law stipulates that the existing panel, immediately before the commencement of this act, stand dissolved, but the members can be nominated to serve in the subsequent panel. And in a bid to prevent another scenario where the former IEBC chairperson Wafula Chebukati was at crossroad with his deputy Juliana Cherera, which almost plunged the country into chaos.
But before they are declared, they are processed, and we are saying that we did not process. And that's why they come out with glaring mistakes, and we don't take ownership of the same.
A notable structural change has been instituted by the Act by eliminating provisions allowing the vice chairperson or any other member to act as the chairperson in the event of a vacancy. The move is intended to consolidate leadership and maintain clear demarcation in the management of the elections.
In the last elections, the whole world was stunned when we saw an election commission that was completely divided. Some saying one thing, others saying one thing.
Both you, Mr. President, Mr. Raila Odinga, the Prime Minister, will have to agree on, perhaps most importantly, on who becomes the chair of the new IEBC.
The new law states that the next batch of commissioners should be picked from highly qualified persons well versed in areas of information technology, accounting, law and governance.
There must be professionalism and integrity as part of the cardinal principles of the men and women who will be charged with the responsibility of overseeing our elections.
The commission members shall still be appointed for a single term of 6 years and shall not be eligible for reappointment. The process of replacement of a chairperson or a member of the commission shall commence at least 6 months before the lapse of the term of the chairperson or a member of the commission.
The secretary to the commission, giving the secretary a term of 4 years, renewable once.
Once the selection panel is appointed, the team will have 90 days to conclude the exercise and the country could have a fully new constituted IEBC by October 1st or even earlier.
They should proceed with dispatch and expedite the other recommendations that are contained in the NATCO report and process the necessary bills.
If we find a solution to this issue of IBC, it will be on the way to resolving very many issues in our country.
Abdiaziz Ashim for Prime Edition.
Now, a 150-member multi-sectoral committee expected to deal with pertinent issues raised by Gen Z will begin a hearing forum from Monday of next week. 50 of the members of the multi-sectoral committee will be the youth, while the remaining 100 will come from various sectors in the country. President William Ruto says that the bipartisan forum will last for 6 days. J.J. Curia puts that story in.
Ago, the head of public service, Felix Koskei, announced the formation of a national multi-sectoral forum to engage all stakeholders in addressing concerns raised by the youth during the anti-finance bill protests. Despite there being a lull over the last 2 weeks on the direction of the forum, the signing of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission IEBC bill breathed life to the proposal. At the signing of the bill, President William Ruto called for a bipartisan approach in dealing with the challenges the country faces, including debt repayment and unemployment.
I am very confident that, as always, Kenya knows how to pull together, and leaders know how to come together in the best interest, not of individuals, not of parties, but the collective body of the Kenyan people.
His call was backed by Azimio principals Raila Odinga and Kalonzo Musyoka, who called on the president to heed to the call of the youth and deal decisively with the burden of the high cost of living.
We require now a wider engagement so that people have an opportunity to vomit all that is there in their chest, in order that we can be able to find a way forward.
Perhaps we need now to go back to Bomas, because during the presentations, Kimani and Cheruiyot may remember, and Wandai was deputizing me, that a lot of Kenyans wanted us to open this space. The space has been opened by Gen Z.
Now that the president has accepted to have a discussion with our young population, with our leaders, we call upon the people of Kenya to give dialogue a chance.
It appears that must have set the pace for the conversation that lasted for more than 40 minutes when the leaders retreated to the VVIP lounge of the Kenyatta International Convention Center. President William Ruto announced the commencement date of a multi-sectoral forum expected to last a week.
We look forward to beginning the forum on Monday next week. The various stakeholders will be required to submit their representatives by Friday this week.
50 members of the multi-sectoral forum will be youth, while the remaining 100 members will consist of civil society, religious organizations, professional bodies, business community and organizations, academia, parliamentary leadership, Council of Governors and other stakeholders.
Dialogue is the way forward out of the crisis that we're having today in our country. We've agreed that we give people an opportunity to be heard, to express themselves, to come out with the grievances which are actually ailing our country today.
We will move ahead with the multi-sectoral forum. And we have agreed that a membership of 150 representatives of various stakeholders, 50 of whom shall be young people of Kenya.
Organizations expected to participate in the forum have until Friday to nominate representatives, and the nominees to the forum will meet their expenses. The forum will focus on 6 issues as identified by the youth, namely unemployment, Kenya's tax policy, national debt burden, representation and accountability, anti-corruption measures, and any other issues deemed appropriate. John Jacob Curia, Prime Edition.
Wiper's parties Kalonzo Musyoka, Martha Karua of NARC Kenya, and Eugene Wamalwa of DAP Kenya are among the key political figures and Kenyans online who have dismissed calls for dialogue to end the Gen Z protests that's demanding for good governance and accountability in government. Kalonzo, who accompanied opposition leader Raila Odinga at a press conference at Kenyatta International Convention Center, as shown in the previous story, said what Kenyans Gen Z are demanding is action. Martha Karua has warned against politicians hijacking a genuine clamor for accountability and reforms by the Gen Z. Give us on Maina has that story.
Immediately after Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition leader Raila Odinga joined President William Ruto in calling for dialogue to quell the nationwide Gen Z protest, a section of Kenyans online, including notable politicians, quickly dismissed the call. Through a statement on X, Wiper's Kalonzo Musyoka, who was among the leaders accompanying Raila Odinga and President William Ruto at the KICC press conference after the presidential assent to the IBC bill, hurriedly disassociated himself from the call for dialogue. He said, and I quote, "Read the mood of the people. Kenya's Gen Z have set the standard and are demanding for action. Kenya would not be in this crisis if the Ruto regime had listened and addressed the number one problem of the cost of living, as well as fully implementing the NADCO report." End of quote. He was also quick to note that he was not keen on the photo op on the red carpet at the KCC stairs. NARC Kenya leader Martha Karua also penned on her X account that, and I quote, "Dialogue can only be meaningful if the players have good faith and are guided by the best interests of the people. Let's be careful as the political class, lest we hijack the genuine clamor for accountability and reforms by the Gen Z." End of quote. Jubilee Party Secretary General Jeremiah Kioni on his side wrote, "The Waki report, the Ndongo report, TJRC report, BBA report, and the NADCO report, all these were done under dialogues. How many more? The writing is on the wall. Implement the Constitution." End of quote. Another notable figure in the Azimio coalition who read from a different script is DAP Kenya leader Eugene Wamalwa. He wrote on X, and I quote, "I am not boarding. The Gen Z's wanted action, not setting up dialogue forums that will end up discussing positions for a few politicians and cleansing. The country has a historical litany of such with reports dusted in shelves." End of quote. Agostino Neto wrote on X, and I quote, "Kenya does not need dialogue. Don't be stuck in the past." End of quote. However, defending Raila Odinga, ODM Director of Communication Philip Etale said one of the reasons Kenyans went to the streets in 2023 was the IBC issue, and he was part and parcel of the NADCO process, the reason he attended the signing of the IBC bill. This as President William Ruto remained adamant, calling on youth organizations to forward representatives to the multi-sectoral forum by Friday to kick off the dialogue. Give us a minor Prime Edition.
Would like to hear your thoughts also on that story and the other stories that we are covering for you. Speak to us on our socials at KBC Channel 1. Let's take you now into the corridors of justice, where the High Court has suspended the Presidential Task Force on the forensic audit of public debt pending the determination of the petition. Justice Lawrence Mugambi, while certifying the matter as urgent, barred members appointed to the task force from discharging any function pending the hearing and determination of the petition that's been filed challenging that process. Details in the Scales of Justice segment.
Manis Judge Lawrence Mugambi also directed that the application be served to the Attorney General and other respondents within the next 3 days, with responses expected in 7 days. The case challenging the presidential executive order was filed by Eunice Nganga, Dr. Magare Gikenya and Eliud Matindi, who cited the role of debt auditing is constitutionally for the Auditor General, and the task force will thus be wasting financial resources amid his calls for austerity. And in Kakamega County, a 62-year-old man has been sentenced to 40 years imprisonment for defiling an 11-year-old girl.
Considering that Parliament meant that the offence with which the accused person has been convicted to be a very serious offence, I sentence the accused person to serve 40 years imprisonment, and he has the right to appeal to the High Court if dissatisfied with the conviction.
While making the ruling, Senior Principal Magistrate Joseph Ndururi said Isaac Kanyula was unfit for an uncustodial sentence since he did not appear remorseful.
Ni kitu yenye alikuwa amezoea, anatishia mtoto akasema ukiambia mama nitakuua ni uwe na mama.
Mambo kama haya yenye mzee alidhulumu mtoto huyu ikuja kama kotini we na harakishwa, sababu mtakuwa watu wengi mashahidi nini na nini, nafika pale mashahidi wanatishwa narudi nyuma.
Elsewhere, the first prosecution witness in a graft case against former Migori Governor Okoth Obado and his 4 children along with 11 other accused persons kicked off Tuesday at Milimani's Anti-Corruption Court.
Yes, Your Honor. The document is beginning at 6027, which is a Bank of Scotland with customer name being Bank of Scotland.
The investigating officer from ESCC, Robert Rono, presented an inventory of 4 crucial items recovered from Governor Obado's Uriri residence.
You can't be everywhere. This is for you. You can see they're so interested in this matter. Because they are saying the courts, it's the courts and DPP who delay. But now today they can see.
Finally, at the Kiambu Law Court, former Sigona Ward MCA Mutonya Njenga will know his fate this Friday on whether he'll be charged or released. Mutonya is accused of allegedly invading and destroying Kikuyu CDF offices during the recent demonstrations over the finance bill, causing malicious damage.
He is being made to suffer, like I've said, it is an issue of witch hunt.
Ruth Homboy for Prime Edition.
2 people have been confirmed dead after a 750-meter gold mine wall collapsed in the Kanga area in Migori County. Rescue operations commenced immediately with 6 miners successfully rescued from the rubble. More than 10 people are still missing as rescue operations continue. The injured are receiving treatment at Rongo Sub-County Hospital.
The entrance had collapsed and about 18 people had been trapped inside. It's about 750 feet deeper. So that's too deep for local rescuers to assist us.
Tulikuja hapa kuangalia watu mpaka sasa hivi bado hawajatoa. Naona wanachangamuka wale watu wanatoa, wengine wenye wamepata ajali wapo huko ndani wanatoka nje. Lakini ni ile kitu yenye tunaomba ni Mungu tu ndiye atatusaidia tutoe hao watu ndani.
There is no working mechanism to post protesting medical interns. All that coming up after this short break.
Unajua, token mita yako inahitaji system update. Ni rahisi na ni free. Ukipata ujumbe kutoka Kenya Power, yani SMS, weka kodi ya kwanza kureset, alafu weke kodi ya pili kuupdate ili token mita yako iendelee kufanya kazi kama kawaida. Update token mita yako. Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwako na Kenya Power and Lighting Company.
Kwa star 570 hash tunakupa nafasi ya kuchomoka na this brand new Mazda Demio.
Enjoy a beautiful, clean, semi-leather interior, low mileage, touchscreen and a reverse cam, fuel-efficient 1300cc engine, great for personal use and business.
Ukitaka kujishindia gari hili, kucheza ni rahisi sana. Chukua simu yako, bonyeza star 570 hash, chagua option number 4, kisha unajiunga na draw. Kumbuka kucheza mara kadhaa because the more you play, the higher chances of wewe kuwa mshindi.
Gari ya pili ni yako. Ni yako.
Hii Julai, jishindie Demio na Loto Moto. Tucheze, tusaidie na tushinde.
You and your mouth, just too much, Zip it, will you?
Yani, I am trying to help you and now you are here to let an enemy see new embassy.
I didn't mean it like that. I was just... Never mind.
What the hell is going on here? Junior, how dare you turn this class into a disco?
Tito, relax. You're so uptight, Siala.
Hey, for crying out loud, the whole room reeks of your sweat.
Redis, could you be having a shada?
Who has a phone in such a name? Maybe a ginger dropper.
How will I get out of this?
Welcome back, our socials at KBC Channel 1. One person has died and 46 others injured after a commuter train was involved in an accident at Kenya Marble Quarry Village, commonly referred to as KMQ, in Kajiado West. According to eyewitnesses, the train derailed at 9 a.m. after approaching a steep stretch. The accident has been greatly attributed to vandalism on the railway line and poor visibility occasioned by heavy rainfall.
This is what was left of the train that was headed to Kajiado from Magadi with about 100 people on board. The 9 a.m. accident leaving one person dead and another 46 nursing injuries.
Nilikuta gari imeanguka, imeroll. Watu wameshindwa kutoka, nikabidi nikapasua dirisha, nikawafungulia wakakuja.
The area residents say that vandalism of the railway line by rock scrap metal dealers is to blame for the accident.
Hii mahali ambayo hii gari imeanguka sio mara ya kwanza. Hata mkiangalia upande hii iko bogi ilianguka tu ndani na ukarabati ya hii daraja haijafanywa.
Kwanza kabisa hii daraja ndiyo imesababisha hii ajali, kwa sababu daraja ni ya mambao, gari pia inabeba mizigo na inabeba abiria. Tulikuwa tunaomba kama kuna uwezekano ya kampuni walete gari ambayo ni ya kubeba abiria tofauti na gari ya kubeba mizigo.
Those injured were treated at Mile 46 dispensary before being transferred to Kajiado Referral Hospital for specialized treatment.
Wote ambao wamehusika na ajali waliletwa hapa katika Referral Hospital, wanatathminiwa, na wale ambao wanapatikana kwamba wako serious wanapelekwa katika hospitali ya Nairobi.
Most of the patient by and large are stable with just soft tissue injury, but we have quite a number, around 10, that we are referring to Nairobi Hospital because they have multiple fractures and head injury.
The commuter train that is privately managed by Tata Chemicals Magadi charges 7 shillings for a distance of approximately 135 kilometers. In a statement, Kenya Railways management says it has since dispatched a team to the site
to gather more details of the incident and offer support. Nancy Okware, Prime Edition.
An update now on that intern protest. The Kenya Medical Practitioners, Pharmacists and Dentists Union Secretary General Dr. Devji Atela has acknowledged that there are no working mechanisms to post the protesting medical interns. This comes after a scheduled meeting with the Health Cabinet Secretary Susan Nakomicha failed to take off, aggravating the grievances of the medical interns.
Day 2 of the protest by medical interns at the Ministry of Health. Most coming from different parts of the country, seeking for posting letters to be able to practice and get licenses.
Personally, I traveled from Nyamira. We are keeping vigil here until we get a solution to this, because we are people in our 20s. We cannot spend all our 20s when we're young and energetic instead of serving Kenyans out here demonstrating. It's very sad. We need to put these brains to good use.
I'm from Kiambu, so it took a 2-hour drive to here. They were debating about posting us in batches, of which is contrary to the CBA Act. So we were telling them, we want to be posted, all of us, and not to be posted now.
So me, I've come all the way from Kisii. In an 8-hour drive, I traveled on Sunday. We don't want promises, because all we have been getting all along is promises.
Does the government of Kenya want this? That people are leaving the country, the best that we've spent so much. The taxpayers' money has been used to pay for us.
The parents of the KMPDU Secretary General seem to inspire their hope. But the flame of hope was extinguished after the Secretary General said there was no white smoke after the meeting failed to take off.
We were to have a meeting from noon. And I must say, unfortunately, that meeting has not taken place today. And as KMPDU, we are retreating to have a sitting with the National Advisory Council leadership to discuss the mechanisms to which we can implore to resolve this matter once and for all.
Addressing the concerns of the interns, it was established that there are no frameworks to start the posting process.
There was not any working mechanisms that can allow for batch posting of doctors or the cohort posting.
The medical interns' hope dashed.
Do our internship for 1 year. It's mandatory. It's not even our choice. We need to do it for 1 year to get a license to ensure that the skills or whatever practice is getting to Kenyans is safe and well regulated.
The Hive continue to agitate for the implementation of the 2017 CBA and the May return to work framework.
They told us that within 60 days after the strike, we will be posted. 60 days have elapsed. Can we trust these people again? I don't think so.
This thing has taken a mental health on us. We are just tired.
This continued as volunteers showed up to share food with the protesting medical interns, who went ahead to share with the anti-riot police, who continued to ensure security during the whole process. Serafina Robi for Prime Edition.
Now, the government will roll out dual training comprising 50% in class and the other 50% in industrial training at all technical and vocational education and training, TVET, in the country. TVET Principal Secretary Dr. Esther Mboya says that dual training will enhance job placement by aligning training to industry needs and also exposing learners to prospective employers locally as well as on the global front.
To launch a report by the private sector task force on linkage between industry and technical and vocational education and training, saw queries over the use of expatriates.
We cannot remain to be a consumption market. We need to enhance and invest so much in TVET so that we really enhance on our production. Economy only works when production meets the needs of the population.
And that is why the whole transformation on competence-based education and training and integrating industry training will be able to ensure that a lot of young people will transition into jobs. A lot of them will acquire innovative skills to start up new industries, because new industries is new jobs. We cannot all train to be employed.
The report recommends strategic reskilling.
That is one good thing under dual training, is that we are developing not just the linkage, but also the opportunity for them to be trained in the industry. And that training will help them get the jobs or become entrepreneurs themselves.
So ultimately, then our qualifications and certificates that are going to come from this are future-proofed, because we are saying they're really duly informed by what is really happening in the market, in the labor market.
In her speech, the Principal Secretary in the State Department of Technical and Vocational Education and Training, Dr. Esther Mboya, says a dual training policy has been drafted to enhance alignment of training to the requisite industrial skills.
What we have known and what we are realizing as we start this journey is that the more our trainees are in industry, the much better they are, because they come up with not only the training, but also the industry culture and all that is needed within industry to be able to do the work.
Join me on a journey as we unlock the secrets of a healthier and vibrant youth. We'll also share real-life stories of courage and resilience. Plus, we provide practical health tips for living a healthy lifestyle, no matter what challenges you may face.
Nawe hautafanikiwa endapo mimi sina furaha moyoni.
Mimi pia nitaanza kufuga nyusi ukija nami usonge nikutazama.
Odi! Kulikuwa na mpenzi anayenijali.
Wakaribishwa muda wote.
Hapa ni kushiba.
Ondoa hichi chakula haraka. Ondoa hichi chakula. Banuru arekebishike. Asiporekebishika.
Washangaza watu wako. Wewe ni kiongozi kufanya kazi ya vibarua. Hiyo si sawa.
Let's now see how the numbers seesawed at the stocks. Medium, small and micro enterprises Cabinet Secretary Simon Chelugui has acknowledged that there could have been possibilities of data errors and duplication during the early stages when the Hustler Fund was launched. In response to the Auditor General's reporting pointing a number of issues, Chelugui says that the errors may have been rectified and is inviting the Auditor General or anyone to conduct a fresh audit of the Hustler Fund.
In a detailed report, Auditor General Nancy Gathungu says major irregularities were discovered in the Hustler Fund, noting that unregistered and unqualified individuals received the loans. The audit revealed that up to 808,000 people were given loans exceeding limits, even without identity cards, as other borrowers received multiple loans without repaying previous amounts. According to Cooperatives, Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Cabinet Secretary Simon Chelugui, this could have been as a result of errors in data extraction and understaffing.
The first 3 weeks, we had 800,000 hustlers who joined with different IDs. We had not synchronized their mobile numbers and aligned them with their national IDs. When time came, when we discovered this, and by the time the auditor came, when we discovered this, we were able to trace back all the loans and align them with IDs.
Chelugui says the loan duplications cited in the report were due to borrowers topping up their loans or repaying and taking more loans within the same day rather than new requests.
As long as the limit has not been, they have not attained or they have not reached the limit, they are eligible, just like in any other normal borrowing, normal banking system.
These were issues of data reconciliation because the Hustler Fund rides on the two systems of the telcos and the banks. So the two institutions, or rather those institutions, have got data systems. So once you log in through the telcos system, it has now also to be reconciled with the banking system.
They say the errors have been rectified and welcomed a new review of the financial statements by the Auditor General to establish the authenticity of the balances. Trevor Ngendo for Prime Edition.
Kenya Railways Corporation is finalizing construction of the 13 new commuter railway stations in a plan that is set to increase passenger numbers from the current 20,000 all the way up to 120,000 by the end of the year. Transport Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen says that the project includes new rolling stock, of which 20 new coaches have already been procured for the modernization program targeting the Nairobi metropolitan area.
The Nairobi commuter rail system is part of a sustainable urban development plan that seeks to improve transport services and mobility within the Nairobi metropolitan area. The government says the plan is on course and will see a drastic increase in railway capacity by the end of this year.
Our plan is to make sure that it is not enough just to build the station, as you can see. We want then to ensure that there is access to the station. The thing that will be the game changer is to make sure that the ticketing system is digitized and does not lead to pilferage of resources, so that then the railway network can at least support itself to a certain level.
We have rehabilitated all our coaches in our workshops, and currently I think now we are almost now going to around 300 to 400 coaches distributed in the network. So it is about the demand.
The new railway stations, which are expected to be ready for use by October this year, include Mlolongo, Kitengela, Lukenya, Mutindwa, Kariobangi, Kenyatta University, Gitambaya, Ruiru, Aviation, Kibera, Satellite, Mutwene, Togoto and Gitaro. The project will also involve modernizing the 58-kilometer railway between Nairobi and Thika.
One of the discussions I will be having with Kenya Railway Corporation after here is to ask whether we can do our in the other areas, because the Kumi project is already going to start with the 58 kilometers of access to Thika and that direction. We also have to think of whether we should not use our internally generated resources or the resources given to KRC, if we can save a little bit of it and do our roads ourselves.
Murkomen says the new railway line connecting Miritini SGR terminus to Mombasa city centre is in the final stages of completion and will be ready for use from September this year. Alanauko, Prime Edition.
The National Treasury is contemplating issuing a 40 billion shillings bond to pay off non-remitted pension to the defunct local governments and county governments. The County Pension Fund Chief Executive Hosea Kili says that the National Treasury has constituted a team to oversee the bond issuance that is slated for the next year.
Defunct local and county governments or pension funds are combined 40 billion shillings in unremitted deductions. The County Pension Fund says talks with the National Treasury to float a bond to settle debts owed to the pension funds are at an advanced stage, and already a team has been constituted to guide the process.
Task force, which is going to be established by National Treasury, will ensure that we confirm the debt's accuracy, and then that solution of providing a bond, a treasury bond to pay off will be done.
County Pension Fund Chief Executive Hosea Kili says the bond could be floated early next year, blaming the delays in remitting equitable shares to devolve units for the piling debts.
And I think I look at 2025, 2024 to 2025 as the end of our problems.
CPF is planning to enter the infrastructure financing market through increased investments in the African Finance Corporation.
And we are really agreeing on this. It will invest in real infrastructure. Like now, if we want to connect Kenya to West Africa, it can happen. Who will do it? Pension funds.
And when they make investment, it should be investment of our pension fund within our counties, so long as we can have a framework that ensures that there is guaranteed returns for the members.
CPF's individuals pension scheme net asset declined to 2.9 billion shillings in 2023 from 3.1 billion shillings in 2022. The drop was attributed to poor returns from treasury bills and bonds.
and improve performance when finally the government begins to take issue bonds at a lower rates, like maybe going back to 15, 10, even as low as 10. When that happens, we shall recover everything.
Benson Rioba reporting for Prime Edition.
Credit ratings agency Moody's has downgraded Kenya, citing diminished capacity to implement a fiscal consolidation strategy to contain the public debt burden after withdrawal of the Finance Bill 2024. Here is Trevor Ngendo with the details.
The withdrawn Finance Bill 2024 had measures intended to help Kenya raise 346 billion shillings from taxes that would have helped reduce the budget deficit and cut on the country's borrowing. However, its withdrawal after days of protest has seen the government opting to borrow an additional 169 billion shillings to finance priority public spending over the next 12 months. Global rating agency Moody's says that while the spending cuts of 177 billion shillings could narrow fiscal deficit, it would be at a more gradual pace than previously assumed, and as a result make Kenya's debt affordability deteriorate due to an increase in the interest payments. This has prompted Moody's to downgrade Kenya's credit rating to CAA1 from B3. In a statement, Moody's says, in quotes, "The outlook remains negative. The downgrade of Kenya's rating reflects significantly diminished capacity to implement revenue-based fiscal consolidation that would improve debt affordability and place debt on a downward trend. Our updated forecasts continue to assume a narrowing of the fiscal deficit through spending cuts, but at a more gradual pace than we previously assumed." End of quote. Trevor Ngendo for Prime Edition.
Plans to refurbish the Kitangela and Kamiti prison tanneries are in top gear as the government targets to increase the leather processing in Kenya. Livestock Principal Secretary Jonathan Mweke says that this is part of the government's efforts to increase the production of leather products from the current 9 million units per year to 36 million over the next 3 years.
The manufacturing sector has been touted as a game changer in the government's economic transformation agenda, with a key focus on livestock value addition. Leather sector's contribution to Kenya's economy currently stands at 10.6 billion shillings.
As we are reviving the sector for leather, we found that there's a huge demand for our leather, Kenyan leather, good quality leather. So we've been working with the private sector to see how we can increase production of especially leather finished goods so that we can do value addition and create jobs.
Government is now seeking to revitalize the sector by reviving various tanneries, including the Kamiti and Kitengela prison tanneries.
So we've agreed on a few things. In a month, we will get a training plan in collaboration with the State Department for Livestock and the private sector, where we can come and train the professionals here, or leather technicians, on modern leather making and also leather technology, and within a month we should have that plan together.
Livestock Principal Secretary Jonathan Mweke says players in the sector will be trained on modern leather technology in a bid to spur integrated development.
Tunaweza anzisha mradi ambao unatengeneza finished product. Si lazima tuanze kutoka kule mwanzoni wa kutengeneza hiyo hides.
Frederick Muki for Prime Edition.
Kwa majina ni Sharon Chepchumba Kiprono aka Chumba 5, na nafurahia sana kuungana na Malkia Strikers kwa hiyo effort ambayo wamenipatia na support. So I can say it's gonna be competitive, and also as atuendi ku loosen up, tunaenda ku tight because first of all, I think kila mtu anajua like volleyball Kenya, we are not only Kenya in Africa, we are the best, and we are going to show that we can do it.
And it is time to get the latest from the world of sports with me, Bernard Okumu. And we begin with the Olympics preps, where the Africa record holder javelin thrower Julius Yego is among the second batch of Kenyan athletes headed to the Mihamas training camp tonight ahead of the Paris Olympic Games. Now, the national sevens team Shujaa has already arrived in the commune located in the southern part of France, while the national women's volleyball team, Malkia Strikers, is scheduled to leave the country tomorrow for Mihamas after jetting back today from the FIVB Challenger Cup in Manila, Philippines. Malkia Strikers arrived back in the country today from the FIVB Challenger Cup in Manila, Philippines, where they were eliminated in the quarterfinals by Puerto Rico, who beat them by straight sets of 25-20, 25-19 and 27-5 despite their fight back, which saw Pamela Dhiambo stand out in her international debut outside Africa. The opposite player was the match's second top scorer. At 22 points. The Kenya national women's volleyball team also played an international build-up match against the Galleries Tower Hi-Res, which they won by straight sets of 25-22, 25-16 and 25-20. The Paris Olympic bound team will have little time to rest as they are scheduled to leave tomorrow for Mihamas for intensified training ahead of the Olympic Games, where they will be making a fourth appearance.
That one was an eye-opener match for us as we gear up for the Olympics, and we are going to improve on our the best performance that we did, and we are going to try our best so that we can give a competitive competition, and we promise the Kenyans that all shall be well with us.
Meanwhile, Africa javelin record holder Julius Yego will lead the second batch of Kenyans to Mihamas tonight, comprising of all the sprinters except Africa 100 meters record holder Ferdinand Omanyala, who will connect from Angelo, where he won the 100 meters race. The sprinters are 400 meters national champion Zablon Ekwam, the 4x400 meters mixed relay team of Veronica Mutua, Maureen Thomas, Kelvin Tauta, Mercy Chebet, David Sanayek and Boniface Muresa, who qualified as the 16th best team in the world, and 400 meters hurdles national champion Wiseman Were.
Tutaenda kujipanga huko mapema, at least tutaadopt na weather ya huko. Tutakuwa tumeingiana, by the time inafika competition tutakuwa tumejipanga vizuri, tutakuwa tumezoea.
Elsewhere, the FKF Women's Cup is set for a showdown tomorrow when Ulinzi Starlets take on Kibera Soccer Ladies in the final at the Police Circle Stadium, as 30 teachers in Mboya are set to benefit from a 10-day CAF D coaching course at the Mboya Stadium organized by Football Kenya Federation.
Zetech Sparks will face Kenya Police Bullets in the third-place playoff of the FKF Women's Cup on Wednesday at 11 a.m., followed by the grand finale between Ulinzi Starlets and Kibera Soccer Ladies at 2 p.m. Ulinzi Starlets qualified for the finals of the FKF Women's Cup when they beat Kenya Police Bullets 4-2 via penalty shootout, while Kibera Soccer Women came back from behind to beat Zetech Sparks 2-1. Zetech will face Kenya Police Bullets in the third-place playoff before Ulinzi Stars march against Kibera Soccer. Kibera Soccer Ladies stage a 2 and come back in the semi-final against Zetech Sparks to book a spot in the third edition of the FKF Women's Cup finals. Meanwhile, Ulinzi Starlets are looking to retain the FKF Women's Cup trophy after winning it for the last two editions. They secured their spot in the final by defeating Kenya Police Bullets 4-2 on penalties after the game ended 1-1 in regular time. The winning team will claim the FKF Women's Cup trophy and a cash prize.
Sisi hatuongeangi kwa mdomo, action. Let them come tomorrow and witness for themselves. No need me niwaambie ati tupige mdomo ati we are going to take this cup. No, sisi ni team ya action.
It's a good feeling, but more so pia kwa team pia ni feeling poa sana. So tunaweza taka tena tukue na hiyo feeling tena. Jutisha test feeling ya win.
Meanwhile, 30 teachers have begun a 10-day CAF D coaching course at the Mboya Stadium in Embu County. The CAF D coaching course was presided over by Embu County CEC for Youth, Gender, Sports Culture and Social Services General Roga, alongside FKF Embu Chairman Charles Njagi. The course will precede the official rollout of the FIFA Women's Football campaign in Embu County. On the 20th of July, as Embu becomes the third county to roll out the program, which primarily targets players and school team coaches from primary schools. The teachers will be under the tutelage of coach educators Musa Otieno and Jacqueline Juma.
And former Kenya national cricket team player Collins Mboya has been appointed as the head coach of the Nigeria under-19 cricket team. Now the cricket ace is already in Nigeria, where he joined the team's training camp in Lagos. Collins Mboya, who recently retired, will be charged with steering Nigerian side in the forthcoming Africa qualifiers for the World Under-19 Cricket World Cup, according to a letter signed by the general manager of Nigeria Cricket Association, Igwilo Emeka Emmanuel. Collins is a brother to fellow internationals Kennedy Mboya and David Mboya, and a member of the national cricket team that had an astonishing run at the 2003 World Cup, where they did reach a historic semi-final. He later captained the Kenyan team after the 2011 ICC World Cup, among other standout exploits, with his farewell match for the country being the 13th Africa Games in Ghana, where he came back with a bronze. And across the borders now, where Spain and France face off in a few minutes from now in the first semi-final match of the Euro 2024 soccer bonanza in Munich, in their quest for a place in Sunday's final.
And Fofana scores.
The team has relied heavily on its defense to make it this far, having...
And indeed, it is a semi-final that's bring together two sides, one that has been so mean in their defense and another one has been decent, free scoring this particular tournament. And it's beginning in 10 minutes from now. That's it from the sports desk. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Bernard Okumu.
Many thanks indeed, Bernard Okumu, for that sporty update. Bishop Alam Kuna, of course, has passed on after a long battle with multiple myeloma cancer until his death. Kuna was the co-founder and senior pastor of the Jubilee Christian Church, JCC, in Nairobi. Remember last year he jetted back to the country from a cancer treatment abroad and revealed that he was battling with myeloma cancer. Condolences to his family and the Jubilee Christian Church. Now, when a president or a head of government is on an official tour of the country, they are honored with a 21-gun salute, which is customary to many jurisdictions around the world. In Kenya, that important exercise is only carried out by the Kenya Navy. Warrant Officer 1 retired Atanas Nyairo served the Navy for 32 years and was one of the officers in charge of the naval gun that is used during the situations. Well, we're going to leave you now with this week's edition of Military Tales. Thank you for watching. My name is Mboya on behalf of the Prime Edition team in the back end, including our sign language interpreter, Brian Moraro. Enjoy the rest of your viewing. Good night from Nairobi, Kenya.
A 21-gun salute is the most commonly recognized of the customary gun salutes that are performed by the firing of cannon or artillery as a military honor. Firing cannons is a maritime tradition that dates back to the 14th century, and in Kenya, the Navy leads the country in this exercise.
The Indian Ocean. The Kenyan coastline stretches about 600 kilometers from the north coast to the south coast, and these territorial waters have to be guarded. And that is the work of our sea warriors, the Kenya Navy. We are actually en route to Mtongwe to meet one Kenya Navy veteran who braved the ocean currents and strong winds to defend our country.
Asante sana. Hapa naitwa Bububu. Sani ni Bububu. Karibu kwa nyumba ya hilo Rwanda Circus One. Asante sana. Thank you. Umefika chai? Tumefika chai. Karibu. Chai. Asante.
After we break bread, we have a sit down with him as he takes us through his early life and his journey as a seaman.
Kwa majina naitwa Atanas Nyairo Nyamboga. Nilisaliwa West Mugrango, Nyamira County in 1962. I went in primary schools Munyaiguba. Nilimaliza now nikiwa standard 7. I joined immediately Kimalisa 7. I also joined the secondary, which is opposite. So Nkamalisa Form 4, 1980. So Nka join 84. Nilijoin Kenya Defense Forces. Wakati tulimaliza recruitment, sikujua kwamba there was a Navy. I only knew there was an Army. So kufika pale watusomea kwamba sasa hii ni Navy, hii ni Army, hii ni Air Force. So nikapata niko kwa Navy. Ndio ngajoin nikaingia tukaenda college FTC Nakuru. In fact 84 ndio we were the last people kufanya course na Ranet. When we came to Mombasa tukaanza course 4 weeks. Naanza course ndio uchaguliwe kuingia. Which section do you prefer to be? So tukafanya course ya 4 weeks. Ndio mimi nikachaguliwa kwa technician, armament technician.
Tupatie majukumu ya armament technician ili watazamaji waweze kuelewa haswa.
Armament tech ni watu wanadeal na weapons. These big guns like Bovagan, Oricon, Twin Barrel, all types of weapon on board. Na ndio watu armament they are dealing with it. Hao ndio technicians. So tukamaliza for 3 years kusoma kwa shule.
As an armament technician and young soldier, he had his first dive in the rough seas after training.
Tukimaliza, when you go on, you have to go on board because hizi bunduki zote ziko on board. We have those ships. Tunaenda for testing. Tunaenda bahari kutest bunduki.
Roger, I now have the gun control.
Bunduki ikiwa iko na shida, wanaenda workshop. We have a workshop which is near the ship.
In 1998, he was promoted to a sergeant and also became an instructor in the naval school. Tupatie hiyo safari ya kuwa mwalimu.
So when I joined the sergeant, I went to naval training school. Kafunda for 16 years. So nikiwa hapo naval training school, nilipata senior sergeant. Na the same hapo nilipata one officer class 2. Yeah, so nilifundisha for 16 years. Nilikuwa nafundisha mambo ya weapon, mambo ya we have so many types of weapons. Tuko na G3, tuko na RMG, but now me niko nafundisha Oricon. Oricon this is not to me because ni kitambo. I was promoted to one of class 2 within 13 years, which is not easy.
Nyairo was among officers selected for a national arms marking exercise in 2011.
I went to DOD to cancel mambo ya arms marking. This arms marking ni one way to know every weapon. Kama ni ya Kenya Navy, Kenya Air Force, Kenya Army, Kenya Police, AP. At any given time ikipatikana, it will be known this one in ya Kenya Navy.
He would later on join the naval saluting gun team, and he explains when the saluting gun is used.
Iliingia mambo ya saluting gun. Saluting gun is the only saluting gun in the KDF, iko Navy. So at any given time, any president incoming, we have to give him a honor ya 21 gun salute. Na gun salute inafanya vitu vitatu. One, when any new president comes in, tunafanya 21. Ya pili, the president akifa, we have to do that one. Again, when the inauguration in a ceremony, we also do that. Yeah, now not only the president, at the CDF backup brigadier wanafanyia 21 gun salute. In fact ndio tunaendelea, then mpaka saa hii iko Nairobi. Tulitoa hapa Mombasa tukabeka Nairobi because Nairobi ndio function iko. And wana match peke yao. Ndio this gun ilitoka Platain. It is a Platain na ilikuwa on board. Inakuwa mounted on board. So wakati ilikuwa hivyo because it's a ceremony, wakaona it's a good thing because ni kitu mzuri kwa sababu ukipigiwa naona kama ni kama hilo wakati wanaenda Bario, sio nasikia 21 gani sasa inapigwa. So wakaona the best way wache tuipeleke Nairobi kwa sababu ni karibu. In fact there is a time with the watu wa army walikuwa wanataka kuichukua, but then Mwatete was then CDF. Akasema no, akajitetea asema this is naval gun mpaka ipaki huko. So it's only the Navy. Ndio naona watu wanafanya hiyo Navy.
As one of the soldiers tasked with manning the gun, he had an opportunity to travel to South Sudan for the inauguration of President Salva Kiir.
For this gun, kuwapakia Salva Kiir, wakati ilikuwa inauguration, sisi tulienda kumfanyia hiyo ceremony. So we went for just one, it was about 2 months. No. Because tulienda kufanyia exercise, na tulikuwa kikosi king from the Navy, from the Army. We go, those people, they had no know-how, baredi, everything, even mambo ya escort and whatever, walikuwa trained. So nilienda huko, tukafanya hiyo shughuli for 1-2 months, then we came back.
As a sea officer, Nyairo had one brush with death during one of his guard duties in a warship.
There's a time when I was a senior private, in Kichunga, nkaenda on board. Ilikuwa usiku saa 8. So mtu amekuja kunilive kusuka kutoka pale chini mpaka juu, kama ile mtu juu iko ngazi na niko na bunduki. It happened nimetresa. Nilikuwa niingie katikati ya pontoon, that's what we call a pontoon, na Mary. Niingie katikati, lakini Mungu akanisaidia. Kawa ile bunduki imehuku kwa ile ngazi, na hiyo ndio nilipata changamoto mpaka saa hii nakumbuka.
Nyairo reminds seamen and other soldiers on the importance of remaining true to country and duty. He remembers some of the changes in the military that was spearheaded by former Chief of Defense Forces, General retired Daudi Tonje.
Bakijoin, wanasema, join the Navy and see the world. When you have joined the Navy, jitolee fanya kazi yako. So when you join the Navy, enjoy it. Penda kazi yako, na ujue kama iko Bira 5. The Bira 5 is after retirement. So mpaka you have to set up. When you get in the forces, ujue kama there is going out. So you have to start from the scratch. Kura 5, weka 5.
Nyairo remembers the instrumental role the Navy played during the takeover of Kismayo during Operation Linda Nchi, spearheaded by the Kenya Defense Forces.
It is true, the Navy, in fact, tangu nilingia tumeimprove sana, especially ukiangalia wakati wa Somalia. In fact, it was a Navy ilikuwa inabeba watu wa hami, inabeba na Mary, na wa trop uko Somalia Kismayo. Na wa trop wanatoka watembea. So it is a very big improvement. Yes, but the naval, ile bunduki yetu ya 76 inaenda 6 kilometers effective range. So tulienda tukaiweka ndio gasikie kapomoa Kismayo. Si watu wa army, Navy ndio ilipomoa kio kwa bahari on the land. Ikapiga ile mahali walikuwa wamechificha ikapomoa. So ikasaidia watu wa army wakapata nafasi kaingia.
Now retired, the former seaman is now a full-time farmer.
Nianza tu kuweka kuku, this is about kuku kama ya 3 hivi. Nilianza na misini, kuweka kidogo just kudimuju kidogo. Nyumbani nimelima around 1.5 acres mahindi, niko na chai ya 3/4 acre, almost acre. Na niko na nafikiri mkitoka hapa nitawapatia kila mtu avocado 2 nimetoa nyumbani.
After serving the country with honor and bravery, he rallies Kenyans to remain peaceful at all times for prosperity.
Amani ni kitu ya muhimu sana. That's why we are the way we are. Because as we are talking now, I know iko watu wako nje wa kuchunga nchi. Na ile kitu iliyoko tu ni kuwaombea wherever they are now, kwa sababu bila amani we cannot acquire anything.
Silent and deadly, the Kenya Navy guards our seas against any incursions to ensure Kenya is safe. For Military Tales, I'm Ben Troy Njue.
Are you a talented artist? Or are you passionate about a topic you want to discuss? But money can be very hard to find for an upcoming artist. Don't worry, Studio Mashinani has got your back. Sign up on ajira.co.ke to book a session with your music and video producers across the country. Work on your music, jingles, spoken words, and even